welcome to Block Party. I'm your host, Mike Wahle. Thank you for watching. If you're enjoying this show, subscribe, rate, review us on our Process to Perform channel on YouTube. You can find me at MikeWahle68 on Twitter and TikTok, Process to Perform on Instagram. Fired up for this show. The draft. There's a lot of pro days today. Some teams are at Ohio State's going out today. Those two big tackles from Ohio State are out today. I wanted to focus on edge rushers. So we've looked at the guard position. We've looked at the tackle position. We've looked at the safety position. I wanted to look at the edge rushing position. There's a lot of guys in this draft. And let's just start with this kind of philosophically. There's kind of two guys you're looking at now. There's what we used to call kind of undersized speed rusher that's going to be able to get to the edge, maybe pick up a higher number of sacks. They have those ghost moves. They have those wipes, double wipes, and rips. But they're getting upfield. They can get into your body. They play with a lot of power. But their speed to power transition is excellent. And then you have like the bigger guys. You guys have 275, 280, 285, long arms, 6'5", 6'6", can play the run at a high level, can play the pass at a high level, especially at the college age, might not have the moves that you're looking for from actually none of these guys are really going to have like what you would call like Von Miller pro moves, right? With their hand placement and whatnot. But you're going to see when we look at tape on a handful of these guys, some people are just a little bit more advanced. Some people are relying on their athleticism. Some people are still trying to figure out the game. Football IQ is all over the board. It's super interesting with this group in particular. As I look down the top 10 or 12 prospects, obviously everybody knows about Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama. He's been like the Bronco Nagurski Award winner for a couple of years now. Myles Murphy, Tyree Wilson, two guys we're going to go through because they are 6'5" and 6'6", big bodies, can play the run, can play the pass, interesting kind of unique body profiles, and you can see what they can do with their hands. And then I'm going to jump down all the way down to maybe 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a kid that everybody's talking about. I just wanted to watch tape on him because I really had. He's a kid out of Iowa, Lucas Van Ness. As I can understand it, watching tape, he doesn't actually start the games, plays a significant amount. He's 6'5", 272 pounds, runs a 4.58. Listen, Iowa puts out athletes, and I'm gonna make some references when we watch his tape because I think it's interesting. Iowa's so good at putting out offensive, defensive linemen. I mean, for years and years and years. You can look at some of the safety, some of the Bob Sanders guys like that they had as well, but they just put out rock solid trench players over and over. They turn like 1-star, 2-star guys into franchise players. And it's just a testament what Kirk Ferentz's crew's done there. But let's get into this tape. Let's not waste any time. The first guy I wanted to look at is actually Myles Murphy out of Clemson. Now, when you think this guy these are all projects. Let's start with that. So even if you look back and you think about when I watched the tape last year, I know that Kayvon Thibodeaux was really high up the board for Oregon. Now, to me, he kind of got what you thought you were going to get with Kayvon Thibodeaux this year. He's an athlete, right? He's a phenomenal athlete. So his pass rush isn't going to be as polished as you need at the National Football League level because, quite frankly, he didn't have to have it that polished to dominate at Oregon, right? You see a couple other of these guys. You see a lot of guys on both sides of the ball that can get away with athleticism. They get to the National Football League level. It's like, oh, goodness, this is a little bit different than I anticipated. And therefore, we're going to have to work a little bit harder on our pass rush moves. We're going to have to work on our bend, our football intelligence, reading some external cues, etc. Myles Murphy, as I saw it today, and we're just going to go through three guys today, but as I watched a handful of these players just trying to figure out who to put tape on, he's interesting, man. Like, there's something to this kid for sure. You see that 4.57 40, 6'5", 286 pounds. 286. So he's huge, long, lean, 286 pounds, runs a sub 4.6. And for people out there that don't understand, because these numbers are getting ridiculous, because all these guys have sprint coaches and they understand that, how to take 2/10 off the start now. Listen, if you're running like a 4.6 and you weigh 208, you are a freak athlete by any stretch of the imagination. So whether a guy ran a 4.5, a 4.57, a 4.47, a 4.6, we're talking elite level athletes. So this guy is obviously one of those. I have him against Florida State. I'll tell you right now, as you guys know, when I go through this tape, it's literally let's pop up a couple series because the behaviors, the movements, everything we're going to see is just what you're going to get. I really don't care about the scheme. I don't care about the opponent. I'll say this: the Florida State kid I like a lot. The Florida tackle I like a lot after watching this tape. The first thing you notice is that stance. Stance is a little bit The stance isn't going directly forward. Okay, so he's not quite in he's in a 4-point, but he's not in a down stance where you see both kind of ankles, knees, everything's going. So you're going to drive directly forward. You're going to gain ground with that first step. He's more in a stance that looks like he's going to read a little bit. Okay, and he can do that because of that length. He looks like, a really, really chiseled, athletic version of. You start talking about big, tall players. Talking about obviously. One of my favorite guys, like Calais Campbell, Chris Canty back in the day, guys that are just have that, 6'6", 6'5", but arm length, can get into your body. You watch this guy against the Florida State kid. I think this first play, you see the short step, and he kind of goes into that read look, but because he's under control, because he's got that body length and that strength, he easily sheds this guy, cuts off the running back, helps the defense make a play. Now, what you see here, I'm just showing you the way he flips his hips, because at 286 pounds, he's getting off, and the ease of which this guy runs, man, is really something else. When you're a personnel guy or a coach, you're thinking like, man, what I could do with this guy if we can just develop into our system, understanding how we read defense or offenses, understanding pass rush moves are going to work. But just from a transitional speed thing, wow, really, really impressive. Get back here again. Now, this is just kind of, I was watching tape, and look, this is the Florida State team. And they're reading off, it's like you read off the best player on defense. Well, 98 is clearly the best player on the Clemson defense this year. So they're running a read option where the pistol back's gone. They just motioned in number 4 into like the red look. They've got the tight end coming off the tackle. They got the guard pulling. Everybody's going to our left, the defense's left, the offense's right. And you're just going to see this read look. And this is where he gets a little bit confused, misses the read, quarterback takes off for a touchdown. Honestly, there's no knock on him. You'd love to see him make a tackle here, like hit somebody, right? Don't just go with your gut. If you have whatever your read is, are you supposed to make the running back tackle? Are you supposed to make the quarterback tackle? Don't miss your read. So there's something there, but really you just got to appreciate that was an awesome play call. Okay. 4-point stance. You start looking at, are there ankle mobility issues here? Is that going to prevent him from getting low enough? Because his feet are spread out wide. We're kind of seeing this in his other stance as far as his ankles not being able to put his knees directly forward. So you see that a little bit here, as opposed to look over against the right tackle, the guy in the 4-point stance. He looks more what you call more traditional 4-point stance. Now, because 98's such a good athlete, he might just be a guy who wants to shuffle around. But I'll say this, the first thing I would check is just an ankle mobility thing, because that's going to really help him play lower, transfer the power from the ground through his body into the other player. But you see from a jump out standpoint, what happens when you get in this 4-point stance. So for people watching at home, and obviously the scouts are, think about this stuff. When you play the guy in the stance, and this isn't a stance that you want to see him in the National Football League, because when he gets here, like at this point, he's done rushing, right? Like anytime I can get the guy to stand like that at any point during the game, as an offensive lineman, I won. Because a guy like this, especially at the young age, he's not going to be able to generate a pass rush against an NFL player. Guard, center, tackle, doesn't matter. Whoever's coming over to block him, not going to be able to generate a pass rush out of that stance with that body height. Okay, so once you get him to that position, you're good. So we want to stay out of that position as often as possible. Obviously, they're looping out from a 4-eye technique there, but you can help yourself by improving that stance. We go back out here against the left tackle. I just wanted to show it's left tackle, like full on trying to tackle this guy, goes back behind both knees, trying to do a double leg takedown. College football championships were this last week, and college wrestling championships were this last week, and they were awesome to watch. I just saw a little bit right there. Go out here, gets bumped off. Okay, so now this is kind of what you're looking at. Does he have any real moves? And I'm just telling you guys right now, he's going to make a sack on this play, but he's not winning this matchup, right? The quarterback just gets flushed because you see the left guard got beat. But he had a relatively clean rush at this tackle. We're not really pressing space, and when you're 6'5", 6'6", 286 pounds, you're on a 4.55, 4.58. You want to press and take the edge, right? You don't need to run the loop up field, especially after you've been bumped up by the tight end. We want to see this guy be a little bit more power, take the edge off, attack an arm, do something a little more violent than just kind of feint rush, feint with your inside hand, then try to run the loop here. And I have that line of geometry just very simply saying at this stage, you're going to have to make a really hard left-hand turn if the quarterback steps up in the pocket to make a play. This is why we always talk about speed to power. We talk about taking that inside right now route when the offensive tackle turns his hips like he is. This is just a disadvantageous position if you haven't really disengaged from the tackle yet, because the quarterback could step up. Now we know, because we watched the tape, the quarterback couldn't step up, so he runs into the player. He ends up getting a sack, but 62 or 52 is going to sleep pretty well that night because of that play. Same thing here. On the play action, you just want to see a little bit more. And part of this for me is that stance kind of invites a small step forward. So he's not really going to attack. He's more of into a read look than that 4-point, even though he's playing that kind of, we'll even call it maybe an elephant end, even though these guys spend most of the time in nickel. When you're in the situation here, you want to be able to really attack the edges and get that tackle turn. The fact that the tackle did a good job during this game, but the fact the tackle could stay square to the line of scrimmage for the most part in situations like this is not something you want to see out of the defensive end who's as physically dominant or has the capability of being as physically dominant as Miles does. Over the left tackle again, just another the guy. Listen, the Florida State kid, you got to give him credit, man. I mean, double leg takedowns all day. Okay. When you talk about why is the kid special, look at the force he delivers into this right here. Bang, knocks him completely off his feet and then can drive this double team through off. You just got to be impressed, I think, with the athleticism, the ability to deliver that hit to the defensive end. Now we go back, and again, we're not really getting a lot of action out of him. And the problem is when you look at the feet, we're not going anywhere. With these steps, we're wasting steps. And so this is where it gets really interesting with watching NFL caliber talent. You have to start thinking to yourself, again, he's got that short footwork and he jumps through here, but he doesn't end up making this play because you're not really penetrating. So you allow the tackle to get enough of you to get around. And again, it's just because of those first steps. He's engaged, hands are outside. But this is where it gets super interesting, because if you're a defensive line coach, you're going, man, what traits he has, I can develop. Like, everyone thinks I can develop this guy, but we see a lot of guys who go undeveloped. So where this guy lands is going to have a lot to do with how successful he is early in his career. For example, if he goes down with Chris Kurashek in San Francisco, he's going to be pretty good pretty early. In fact, he could be really good in year one because Chris is that kind of developmental coach. He has that high expectation for players. If he goes somewhere where they don't have quite as good a coach or a developmental program, this guy might struggle a little bit because you see how he has to kind of read. He's using his athleticism to make plays instead of anticipation, instead of just going for it sometimes. And then he gets caught up with guys who are lesser athletes and they can still ward off the blocks. Again, having said all that, I forgot Florida State's left tackle's name, but I did like the way he played today. We see it again. You see the punch and extend here by 52. And it's just the problem here is, and he's got a little bit different stance now, so he's demonstrating that he wants to go north and south. Okay. So he's going to take a little bit longer stride and tries to go outside, but it happens so fast. And I'm just telling you from an offensive lineman standpoint, if you're playing a tight five technique and your move is going to be to take a hard step and then outside with a half slap rip, like, I'm going to catch your shoulder 100 out of 100 times. 100 or 100 times. And so, especially if it's a 3-step drop, you're out of the play. You got to get the guy to turn. You got to get the guy to be off balance. It's a real estate battle. You got to get to the confrontational point and make sure that tackle's out of control. So right now is just, we talk about football IQ. This is just something you got to learn. He's obviously in a 4-point stance, looking to get off the ball hard, fast here. Going to take a big step. You see that he's looking at the center. Look at the left tackle, though. The left tackle is what? Feet are wide. His body position is one that it suggests that he might be in a run platform here. And because of that base, you can just kind of go, hey, man, he's going to catch it. And he does. He does a great job of catching him and pushing him off the ball, widening that gap. Now, look at the body position on 52, how that's different. So if I'm a football, if I'm a student of the game, I'm looking at the last body position and I'm knowing that was a run. I'm looking at this body position. I'm feeling a lot better about what he might be up to. So we see the pull here with the down block. So like something's up, right? Something's up here because he can't operate the way he did last time with this stance. Now, we can't see the crackback, but you would hope as they continue to develop this player, he'll be able to see it. Really, really good talent, though. I mean, really good talent. Okay, so we got Tyree Wilson. Tyree Wilson, similar build, Texas Tech. Now he's going to play like a true outside linebacker, stand up. And when you see this guy, like when your eyes see this guy on the field, it's like he stands out. 6'6", 271 pounds, ran a 4.82. A 4.82 at 271 pounds is like nothing to, it's just these numbers that we have now are so ridiculous. Like this is a good athlete here. Okay. Maybe a bit of a long strider. You see 6'6", 271, 4.82. Okay. So first off, they put him in positions like you start projecting these players, and he's not going to play a 4-eye in the National Football League at 200, what did I say, 271 pounds? Just not going to happen. But they have him in there multiple times against Baylor. Down there, we see him beginning with the right tackle, coming inside, running the game. But now you see a situation like this, number 19, stand up, and they can run games out of here, and they're just going to run a stunt here. So this is kind of the first thing you start looking at. I look at footwork, right? So you're leaning heavy on that left foot, and we know you're going to slant because I've watched the play. Okay, so we got a rock by the 4-eye. We got 19 coming down, and the linebacker is going to hit the hole. If you're going to slant, you need to be able. You're 6'6", so your body position matters here. You need to be able to deliver a blow. If you have all your weight on your left foot and you need to step to your left, are you in a little bit of trouble? Sources say yes, right? So you need to balance out your stance a little bit more. You need to get in a better body position or a hip hinge position so you can deliver a bit of some force when you have to crash down here. And so these are the things I think really early on, a 6'6", 271 guy can probably dominate without having to do it, but he's going to have to learn to do it in the National Football League. So in this situation, you'd like to see him just be more violent overall. Like he should never be reached by this guard stepping down. He should be able to crease this, no problem. Okay. See 19 outside here. I think they're going to run the game. And so he comes underneath, and this is like quarterback's nightmare. Now you got to be able to break down. And the Baylor guy has some escapability right here, but got to make that play. This is college. This isn't the NFL. Tom Brady's retired. He's not going to be standing in the pocket waiting for you to hit him. These guys are elusive, got to be able to break down. So you think about, again, he's 6'6". What does that mean in real time? What that means is he probably has a long stride. You got to shorten that down a little bit more if you want to make tackles. So we see he's squared up again, coming inside here. And what you want to see right here, because they have him moving around a lot. So there's one thing for Texas Tech in general, like they have this guy moving around a lot, at least in this game. What you want to see here is penetration and get north and south and break this crease, okay? And you want to split that B gap. I want to be more violent, but he just gets knocked off a lot. And part of it is he's moving sideways, so that's what happens. But part of it is we can always work to improve our body position, our hip level, etc. Getting a 4-point here. And I'm not suggesting for a moment that he's not going to get double teamed anywhere because, the left guard, left tackle are going to double team him here. My thing is, it looks like he's hesitating off the ball, right? And he's just running right into the guy. And so, again, when we talk about refinement, because this is a very highly rated player, we want to see some refinement in the moves that we're doing on every level at the pass rush level. I'm at a guard. Am I playing against a center? Am I playing against a tackle? It doesn't really matter. We have to see some refined moves. Like John Randall is not going to just run into the guy like that. He's at least going to give you a shake with the double bull. You see what I'm saying? You see the pursuit, though. I mean, what an opportunity athletically. Okay, base position here. He's going to scoot inside. And this is where you just picture him on Sundays making these plays over and over and over again. The running back's going to take the ball to our right of the center of the quarterback, his left. And you just see him shoot underneath. The tackle missteps here by going up a little bit too high, not taking a good hinge angle. Whoop, inside. Gets the holding call, right? Forces the running back to make a cut early. But the speed, the elusiveness, the fluidity of his movement, the way he can just kind of hit the arms down while he's moving past. Like there's athletic traits here that can really look like something in the National Football League. You see the length here. He turns he goes right into the bull, spins the guy around a little bit off the play action pass. Now, is he engaged? Yeah, but you're pushing the pocket. Listen, if there's a guard coming over to help you, there's nothing you can do about it. He's winning this battle right now against this tackle. He's winning with that inside hand. It's a phenomenal job. You know, the right guard comes over and helps. That's something you can do. There's nothing you can do about that situation. Now we're squared up here. So we're squared up. In this situation, there's two things. We're either running split flow backside, which looking by where the running back is, not likely. Okay, or they can be running counters. That is likely. But you know, given where the tight end's position is, never watching them before, that's a possibility. The other thing is they can go double team to the outside. The fact that 64 is up in that 2-point kind of looking out makes you think that he's going towards 19. So they do the double. And so now that we know he's done the double, let's look at it again. You're on the outside, you're squared up, you're moving off movement, and we lose this a little bit with the camera angle. But what we want to see here is you have to attack the outside player or you have to attack the crease, okay? We got to do one or the other. We got to get a lot of penetration on this. And the problem that happens is he is false stepping. Now, if you're in a square stance, you're probably going to false step. And like, in other words, in football, coaches used to do this all the time. Every single coach would get you like, all right, everyone's going to start in this like hip hinge base position stance. Is that square? And then we have to practice like moving forward and sprinting forward because everyone wants to false step. And half the audience out there thinks that that's a problem. Half of it doesn't. In situations like this, what you can do to just kind of remedy it is put yourself in a position where your feet are already at some sort of staggered position so you can move right out of it regardless. But because he false steps here, he ends up not being able to attack the tight end to get around the sideline. Again, Baylor's good. But look at that. I mean, just again, I'm just telling you from a lineman standpoint, he's a physically intimidating dude, and he's smooth. So this guy could cause some serious problems in the run and the pass game. You just see, I think he's a little bit slow to read right now at Texas Tech. You see it right here again. Now, this is a quarterback keep, and he's reading through the quarterback, but you have to be able to react to your tackle. Like, I think everybody in their right mind could agree that he's not supposed to lose leverage on this tackle. He's supposed to maintain outside gap responsibilities here, and he doesn't do a good job of that, right? And we see that a couple times you see he's not moving his feet. Now his eyes are going through, but his feet don't do anything. And so he puts the tackle in a position where he can capture his edge. Okay. And this is just, again, you go to the right coach, you're in a good position to be successful. And and the other thing is like just a very clear understanding of what your responsibilities are. But boy, that's a bad circle. I don't know what happened there. This is the other thing you kind of look at from a tight end. He's playing against the tight end. And I don't know how I screwed that circle up so bad. But you see he's going against this tight end. The tight end kind of throws him out the bar here at the end. And you just want to see, and that's a big old dude, that tight end. But you just want to see with your potential first-round pick, you want to see him win that matchup. I mean, and I'm talking about definitively winning that matchup, especially against the guys that are in the National Football League right now. There's only a handful of guys that should be able to block this guy at the tight end position, and none of them are in college. Okay, so I think we've gotten two guys that are rated relatively high. Will Anderson Jr. is going to be probably number one on everybody's board. I didn't want to do him because he's kind of the obvious guy, but these two guys are both monsters. 6'6", 271, and 6'6", 271, and 6'5", 268. Okay, both are fast, high. You just see high ceiling. Like excited about watching both of them, see where they go, how they develop. Now Lucas Van Ness, I just wanted to look at him because quite frankly, like I have no idea. I've never heard buzz about a guy that isn't starting on his team. Now he ran a 4.58. He's got, he's got size. He's 272. He's 6'5". He's got length. I'm gonna say this, and you can call it what it is, man. He just this stance, the Aaron Campman, Iowa. Probably a day 2, day 3 pick. Going to take a while to develop. has good fundamentals, has good arm length, has good like this guy has the best hands of all three of these guys. It's not even close. Okay, has a good motor, is limited in his pass rush moves, but has conviction in what he's doing. Like it's Aaron Campbell, the guy who like I was with in Green Bay, and he went from being the guy that we would just beat up on, and then one year I remember one of the tackles called me. He's like, "Dude, Aaron's gonna be good this year. He's beating me," and he never beat him. And he went all pro, and he was all pro again. And then all of a sudden, like it's Aaron Campbell's like the standard in the league, and great dude, great work ethic. I don't know anything about this guy's character. I just saw the stance. I saw the Iowa, and I was like, oh my God, is it Aaron Campbell again? Well, you better hope so, because Aaron's pretty good. So he's lined up against the center, which is odd for a defensive edge player. But again, he's coming off the bench. He can kind of go anywhere. We put him against Iowa State. I was hoping to see some action against those two massive tackles. Okay. We'll bounce this around a little bit. You got him against the 360-pound absolute stud, a guy I love to watch. And you just see he's going upfield, but he's not going anywhere. He's not challenging the edge. So he gets up here. He gets excited. He's excited. But do you really go anywhere? You false step. You didn't really do anything. So he's got punch and extension now. And he's just not challenging that edge. You got to be efficient with your movement. Number one thing. Can you be efficient with your movement? You lost on your first step there. Big play for the team. They ran they ran a pick stunt on the other side. Lined up here against the big fella. Go back. So you're just playing a four-tech. Going to bounce out here to the top. And you can see this dude wins with his hands. He's got good balance. He tries to get snatched right there. He's got good balance. This guy consistently wins with his hands. This guy's a first-round draft pick he's going against. And you see this is the name of the game, right? And again, this is where I was like, oh my God, it's Aaron Campbell. This is the bull. This is the Iowa bull rush. They learn it early, right there. You get in that body position. You get all your force going right into the chest, right through the guy, like he's not even there going to the quarterback. And you force that tackle to open up that left foot on the outside, and then just try to hold on for dear life that you're not going to get there. Sometimes you're going to get there, sometimes you're not, but certainly disrupting the play. Good throw by Stroud, obviously. You see the double with this player, and this is where I think a lot of guys get into trouble. It's like in vogue to play out of a 2-point stance. And really, most of the guys that we were watching, Miles Murphy could play out of a 2-point. He's kind of got unique bend. He's 6'5". These guys should be playing at 2-point. I'm talking about Wilson and Van Ness here. Dude, you're not just play out of a 3-point. And I know it's sexy to play out of a 2-point. It means you're an athlete. You don't have to put your hand in the ground. But leverage-wise, you're just going to get a lot more out of your body right now if you can play out of a 3-point more often, because you don't want the tight end running you over the pile. It's just that's not a good look. Okay, you see the stance by the left guard. You see the split. You see the split between the left guard and the left tackle. You got your outside foot up, meaning your first step is going to be with your inside foot. Now, you can obviously feint in and go out. You can do a bunch of things here. The tackle's staring at you. You know he's coming right at you. This is where you want to see a guy like Lucas Van Ness. Okay, he gets both hands inside, no question about it. Now, I would argue the Ohio State tackle is actually inviting that. He just wants to grab because it's going to be a quick play action. Okay, he's all by himself, and he knows that. You see the lines all going to the other side, okay? This is, again, from a football IQ standpoint, 26 is there, so maybe he's not allowed to go inside, but this is one of those situations where, man, I want to take this inside now. Tackles wide. I can make this guy, I can get him off his spot. 26 can clean up, okay? We don't get that. We get great hands, and that's going to serve him well. We get great hands, but he's just fighting too long. Doesn't need to be. Okay. We see that the tight end's going backside. Split flow play. And so when you see that split flow play, and they've been coached up on this, okay? So in other words, when I say coached up, I mean 91 knows, Van Ness knows that in this look, the tight end, where he's off the ball enough where he can go split flow. He's not hiked up real close to the tackle like we saw on the reach block versus Tyree Wilson. When you see this, you need to attack the edge and set the edge as upfield and as narrow as you can and force that running back to cut early, okay? And what happens here is he kind of gets messed up with his feet, and all of a sudden he's outside of the pocket, his feet are square, and he's now to play the muscle game, and he just gets driven a heck of a long ways, more than he needed to, because he's losing with his footwork, and that's something that is coachable, but you got to get the right guy. I left this in here. I just love the fact that he took out that quarterback there at the end. It was fantastic. Okay, a little bit off screen here, but you can just see we got the same idea. We're just going right through, get that angle with the bull. Sorry for the camera there, guys. Let's try to see that one more time. This is like the old can't wake the Iowa bull. We're just going at that angle. We want you to turn your hips early. We want to make that miserable for the tackle, make him stop his movement by running his upfield hip. We're going to always work everything off our power, and we wipe off our arms. We can do double wipes. We can do chop rips, but everything's based off the fact that when you hit that angle, when you hit that upfield hip, more often than not, those guys either turn or stop moving their feet. We got the stand up. He's over 34 here. So you see, guys, he's got good quicks. He plays strong. I mean, he's got physical tools. Okay, just for the way he's moving, he's got a little twitch to him. See him against the big fella here. Spins him all the way around. Ends up falling over and getting the sack. But really, that touch, that power that he delivers through and spins that guy, that's a big deal, man. I mean, that's why people are going crazy over this guy, even though he doesn't even start on the Iowa team. Okay. They're running a game here clearly, and there's a little bit of everything goes into it, but he's got a little bit of power. He's got enough power to move a 365-pound man the wrong direction, gets up and ends up chasing this guy down for the sack. So you see the tools, you like what you see. He is, again, completely engaged, hands inside. He gets to this is a huge deal. If you're just trying to find a guy like, hey, can we find a guy that's like a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever round pick that can do fundamentally, can play the run game. And then, oh, by the way, he's got a bull rush, but we're going to teach him how to pass. I love this guy for that. Okay. If you're saying, hey, I need a first round pick that's going to make a difference on day one, and I got a good coach, man, Miles Murphy looks good. Right. And Tyree Wilson, he's got tools, but for that guy that might not be a first round, maybe even not a second round guy, but you're looking at like, man, he wins with his hands a heck of a lot against good players, which means he can play in the National Football League. I like this guy a lot. We see 91 here against the fullback 34. You get the double again. Ends up, getting a little bit into the play. You just like the intensity. Then we get the last one here. Good one to end on. He flops the tackle over the pile. Not really a big deal. Kid's a strong kid. Iowa kids are strong with like 3 G's at the end. Like I can't think of a kid from Iowa that couldn't like hang clean 4 plates easy. Like they're freaks, man. Even I don't know since Chris Doyle and the whole thing, but when Chris was there, the strength and conditioning program was like second in command to Coach Ferentz, and they really know how to put out great fundamental football players, strong kids, offensive linemen, defensive linemen. So there's some good players out here. There's some guys there's a kid from Northwestern that I need to look more at. He ran like a 4.49. I mean, good Lord, what is that? Some real talent. It's again, this like, do you like strawberry? Do you like chocolate? Like what kind of ice cream do you like? Do you want a Will Anderson who's 6'4", 250? Fast, got everything you want, great balance, football IQ, has it all. Okay. Or do you want 6'6", 270, 6'6", 271, down here with Lucas Van Ness, 6'5", 270. Like, you can find kind of whatever body type and profile fits your defense. But what you don't want to do is, for example, you don't want to bring in a Tyree Wilson and say, you know what, we're gonna change what you're good at. Like, you can get in that 2-point stance off the open field tackle, or you can get a 3-point stance versus a tackle tight end combination. We're going to teach you the footwork and you're going to dominate. Or are they going to say, you know what, we want you to be a real rangy, old school 3-4 guy. We don't know where to put you. Maybe we're going to put your, both hands in the ground. We're going to make you do some read stuff like you did in college at Texas Tech. Does that sound good? I'd be like, doesn't sound great. I mean, I'm in the NFL now, so I'll do it. But I really like that first one. Can you put me with a team of that first one? I think I'm going to be a really good player. So there's a ton of guys out here. I'm sure the sky's the limit for most of them. It's exciting stuff. Listen, check me out, MikeWall68 on Twitter. Hit me up on Twitter, Process to Perform, if you guys want us to look at anything specific, either here on the On My Block podcast with Mon Green. Oh, please subscribe, rate and review us on our YouTube channel, Process to Perform. Hope everybody enjoyed. Have a great weekend.